What's going on? Came across this video from a guy or a channel on YouTube called Mr. Sports, and the title definitely caught my attention, and the thumbnail made me want to watch. The title reads, "The Day Michael Jordan Showed the NBA Who is the Boss." And the thumbnail, of course, has John Stockton, Michael Jordan, and in quotations, he dropped 40 in 12 minutes. So I just wanted to play this video and see what it's about, because you already know what time it is, Michael Jordan. Now, Michael Jordan, in my opinion, is the greatest basketball player of all time. But my favorite basketball player of all time is actually Penny Hardaway. If you've been following my channel, you should know that. But, well, I ain't even about to go there, man. But yeah, man, Penny Hardaway is my favorite basketball player. So I'm not some Jordan glazer, so to speak. I don't even use that word. But I'm not somebody that's on Jordan's nuts or anything like that. But it is what it is, man. He is the greatest player of all time and the standard for greatness, especially for players that have come after him. But again, I just want y'all to know my favorite basketball player is Penny Hardaway. But let's get into this video and see what they're talking about, because I definitely want to see about this 40 points in 12 minutes. And also, I just want to watch a video on Michael Jordan, because Michael Jordan is definitely the epitome of greatness in regards to basketball.
Sit, baby. Come on, man.
I got the hand in. Hand in means all for one for all.
Man, this is it. Let's go out and give our best.
What time is it?
Game time!
The stage was set for history. The Chicago Bulls and the Utah Jazz. Two teams, one goal. Deadlocked with identical 62-20 records in the regular season, Utah had swept the season series against Chicago, securing home court advantage, and after both squads fought through grueling conference battles, the rematch of the 97 finals was officially on. The Jazz...
So the Bulls and Jazz were 62-20 that year. I didn't know they had the same record that year. And around this time, man, I had to be, 98? I was 13 years old. So yeah, man, I didn't know they both had the same record, and that the Jazz swept the Bulls that season 3-0. 3-0. They normally just play 2, but maybe, yeah, the league wasn't as expanded as it is now. So maybe they did play 3 times a year. But yeah, I didn't know that, man. That just goes to show you even more the greatness of that Bulls team, or the Bulls in the 90s, and Michael Jordan, the leader of the team, man. These niggas still came back when it counted and beat the Jazz in the finals. If that was LeBron James, he wouldn't even made it to the finals. Yes, I'm bringing up LeBron James. We getting on his ass every day from now on, or every opportunity I'm on LeBron's ass, especially after that Pat McAfee shit.
Struck first in game 1.
Hall of Fame player. Look at the shot that Stockton has to take.
The Bulls pounced back, taking 3 straight.
Do you still feel like you guys are the underdog? No, we're in the driver's seat right now, and we just have to come out ready to play next game and try to put it away.
Then, with everything on the line in game 5, Michael Jordan is
a true professional, man. Always answers questions and carries himself in the right manner, in the right way. Never has Michael Jordan embarrassed his fans. Well, never has Michael Jordan embarrassed himself, his teammates, the organization, or most importantly, his fans, man. That's why people love Michael Jordan so much, and his fans love him so much, man. He's never embarrassed them. LeBron James fans get embarrassed every single day that this man either plays or he just lives. This man is an embarrassment to the NBA, to himself, and to NBA fans. Not just NBA fans in general, well, not just LeBron fans, but NBA fans in general, but especially LeBron James fans. If I was a fan of LeBron James, I'd be so embarrassed to admit it. And even at this point, like if I was a fan of LeBron James, at this point, I wouldn't be anymore. It's crazy.
Ball, the clock winding down, a chance to send Utah packing. And he missed.
Yeah, Jordan ain't finna hit no shots like that, no lucky shots. He has a high basketball IQ. So he's gonna get to a spot on the floor and he's gonna pull up for a good shot. Something that LeBron James can't do because he has a low basketball IQ. He's never been taught basketball. He's never had a coach in the NBA that he's learned from. LeBron James has only been going off of his talent and athleticism. Now, his athleticism is off the charts, but his actual talent in the game of basketball is average. His skills are average. He is just bigger, stronger, and faster than his opponents and the players he's played against in in his era, and that's why he's been able to get away with what he gets away with. But as far as, because I heard him say something in the Pat McAfee interview about skills. Oh, and that players were relying on their athleticism and being bigger, faster, stronger. Something along the lines that I just said. But LeBron James, you were actually describing yourself. When I heard that, I was like, what the fuck? Man, you just described yourself. That's how you been getting by your whole career. You can barely fucking shoot. You can't shoot free throws. You can barely shoot free throws. Your ball handling sucks. Your one-on-one offensive skills suck. Your one-on-one defense sucks. Your team defense sucks. Your concept of team and IQ, basketball IQ sucks. LeBron James, boy, he was a great player when he was younger. He never evolved or got better because he never learned from anyone, and he's never taken the time to really learn from players like a Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan. I'm pretty sure LeBron James feels like he has it figured out, and he doesn't need any advice, especially from Michael Jordan or somebody like Kobe Bryant. That's why he didn't have a relationship with Kobe Bryant like that, and that's why he doesn't have a relationship with Michael Jordan. But then, too, on the same token, Michael Jordan doesn't want a relationship with him, I think. He doesn't want to be associated with LeBron James, I'm pretty sure.
And he missed. An 83-81 victory kept the Jazz alive.
Oh, and I'm sorry. Michael Jordan was 35 years old at this time. This is 1998, so he's 35 years old. No, actually 34. He's 34. Did you see how Michael Jordan received the ball on an inbounds play in the final seconds of the game to win it for his team? LeBron James, scary ass at his age now, would have been taking the ball out. LeBron James wants no smoke in late game situations where he has to make a big play or possibly win the game at the free throw line. He can't do it. He's scared of that moment. That's why he was he shouldn't even have been fucking taking the ball out against the Bulls.
Their confidence or their overconfidence was our biggest, positive, our biggest strength going into this.
Game 6 was heading back to Utah. And for the Bulls, the odds couldn't have been worse. Scottie Pippen's back was shot. Ron Harper was sick. The Bulls were limping into Utah, barely holding it together. Meanwhile, the Jazz had home court advantage.
Look at that, man. Team in shambles. Team breaking down from a 3-year championship run. And prior to that, 3 years in the early 90s. So pretty much players like Ron Harper, Scottie Pippen, they're running out of gas and breaking down. Then you're playing against another good team that has home court advantage, especially in Game 6 of this final series. And as we know, and if you don't know, the outcome you're going to see. But all of us that know, look what Michael Jordan was able to do. And his team wasn't even healthy or really I'm sure they were locked in mentally. That's why they were able to get the job done. But his team wasn't healthy at all. It was basically like he was riding a car with a bumper hanging off. You got tires that are almost flat, not completely flat, but almost flat. Your air conditioning doesn't work. It's a hot day. That's what this is like for the Bulls. And these niggas still pulled it off because Michael Jordan was leading the charge. A true leader and a true winner and champion.
Advantage, momentum, and 20,000 screaming fans ready to push them to a Game 7. Chicago had already let Game 5 slip through their fingers. Michael Jordan had the ball in his hands, a chance to end the series, and he missed. Now in Game 6, the pressure was suffocating. The Bulls were battered, exhausted, outnumbered. The Jazz could smell blood. That was their moment. June 14th, 1998. That was the night Michael Jordan was truly alone. And somehow, he didn't just survive. He delivered the greatest ending in NBA history.
He said Michael Jordan was basically alone, man. Of course he had great teammates and supporting cast and coach, but we all know what he means. And he was alone and still got the job done and led his team to not just a W that clinched the NBA championship. And we all know about the last shot. LeBron James, if faced with these circumstances, would have fucking folded. And then at the end of the game, he would have came in the press conference with a cast on his hand or his elbow or something taped with a bunch of ice on, making excuses. Oh, I punched a whiteboard at halftime and it chipped a bone in my hand. Oh, I had foot and ankle discomfort. My groin hurt. My groin. Man, get your weak ass out of here, nigga. LeBron James would have folded in this situation. Michael Jordan came out on top. That's what we talking about, man. Take me back to 98, nigga. Take me back to the 90s.
4-4 on the road in the playoffs, and in fact have lost 4 of their last 5 road games.
The moment the ball tipped, it was clear. This wasn't just another game. Chicago and Utah came out trading blows, matching each other shot for shot. Scottie Pippen, bad back and all, dropped a smooth hook shot to put the Bulls up 12-8. Forcing an early timeout. But if anyone thought Utah was ready to roll over, they were sadly mistaken. Then Michael Jordan found his rhythm. A deep 3 splashed through the net, igniting a 9-0 Bulls run. Chicago was rolling until things got sloppy.
Stockton.
Harper right now is on Malone.
3 illegal defense calls in 1 quarter? If you weren't around for 90s basketball, let's just say this rule was like getting a speeding ticket for driving 1 mile over the limit. Too far from your man? Violation. Not quite doubling? Violation. The NBA was out here policing spacing like it was a crime. Thankfully, someone with...
You hear that? They were policing spacing like it was a crime. And that's because they were playing real basketball at that time. Nowadays, there's too much space. Now, I know I say players don't play defense, and the defense sucks in the NBA today, but you almost can't play defense. Now, if you know what you're doing, you can, of course. But these players don't know what they're doing. So you almost can't play defense. The floor is too spread out. You really can't play help defense. You really can't play team defense how you want to, unless you're really going to give the effort and hustle. And these players don't have it in them these days. And I remember some idiot was in my comments because I made a comment about the lane being clogged in one of my other videos. And I said it's supposed to be that way. And it is. The lane is supposed to be clogged. There's supposed to be help defense waiting and ready. And you on the offense are supposed to show how good you are offensively by moving the ball. That's why they call it ball movement. Cutting, screening, running a play, getting the defense to shift and move and off balance so then you can make an attack. Once you have the defense off balance and shifted, then that's when you attack and make a play to get a good shot. That's real basketball. That's basketball, not this bullshit that they're playing these days.
Common sense finally got rid of it. But Utah head coach Jerry Sloan wasn't having it. Before the second illegal defense could even be enforced, Sloan lost his mind. He got so animated, the refs had to call a double technical, sending Jordan and Jeff Hornacek to the line for free throws. Chicago pushed their lead to 9, but just when it seemed like the Bulls were taking control, Utah punched right back.
Rain, make it rain, girl.
And I don't know what motherfuckers be talking about like the Jazz were trash. They had Karl Malone, who won the MVP that year. Or won the MVP in 97, I'm sorry. Michael Jordan won it in 98. As well as the Finals MVP, the All-Star Game MVP. And a championship. And led the league in scoring with 28 points a game in 1997-98. At 34 years old. LeBron at 34 years old didn't even make the playoffs for the Lakers his first year. This shit funny, man. Didn't even make the playoffs. And yeah, you can say, oh, LeBron, he hurt himself. LeBron was never hurt. He didn't even hurt his groin back then. He knew that the season was over with, that he didn't have a chance, and just like in typical LeBron fashion, he faked the injury and came up with an excuse as to why he couldn't play. So then when they did end up not making the playoffs, oh, LeBron was hurt. Oh, LeBron was out. Instead of LeBron couldn't get it done. And missed the playoffs at 34 years old. A certified veteran in the NBA. And supposed to be the GOAT. Man, get the fuck out of here, bro.
Carr came off the bench and went to work immediately, making an instant impact. Hornacek buried a transition 3, and just like that, the lead was down to 1. Karl Malone added to the Jazz momentum, but Bill Wennington finally stopped the bleeding for Chicago. Then came the final minute, Jordan versus Malone. The two superstars traded blows, throwing haymakers before the quarter ended, with Jordan missing at the buzzer.
Final shot and misses it.
Bulls 22, Jazz 25.
Guys, as we begin the second quarter with Utah up by 3, something significant. They were able to make a run and turn this game around a bit.
This wasn't going to be easy. Utah came ready for war. With Jordan on the bench, the Bulls had to keep the game from slipping away. Dennis Rodman found Tony Kukoc for a smooth bucket. But
that's who Luka Doncic would be if he played in the NBA in the 70s, 80s, 90s, or 2000s. Or if today's NBA played with the rules that they're playing with during this game that we're watching right here. Or the rules they played with in the 90s. 80s, 90s, or 2000s. Luka Doncic would be Tony Kukoc. That's why he wears number 77 instead of 7, because he's Tony Kukoc 2.0. And if they were playing real basketball under real basketball rules and circumstances, Luka Doncic would be Tony Kukoc. Nothing more, nothing less. He only gets away with what he does and can do what he does because of the way the game is played and the rules. And motherfuckers these days can do what they want. There's no consequences. There's no coaching. And motherfuckers don't play defense. But here lately, teams have been playing good defense on Luka Doncic. And yeah, he scores his points, but he's not impactful. Especially when he needs you to, especially when it counts the most and matters the most. Like in the fourth quarter, he doesn't do that shit that he does the first 2 or 3 quarters. Especially if the game is close. Luka Doncic, man.
the Jazz weren't about to let Chicago gain ground. Howard Easley drained a deep 3 as the shot clock expired, except it didn't count. On the
That nigga said Howard Easley. It's Howard Isley, nigga. And I actually talked to Howard Isley on the phone once. And I got a pair of his old shoes from one of my old assistant coaches at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee when I played there before I transferred. It's a coach named Tony Jones. He's from Detroit. Howard Isley's from Detroit. So that's how I was able to get all that stuff. It's just a little fun fact.
Replay, clear as day. Easily got the shot off with a full second left, but the refs waved it off. A brutal call, and Jerry Sloan knew it. But with a technical already under his belt, he couldn't risk getting tossed. The Jazz had to eat it, and it later ended up being an important call in the game. It was quite an unfortunate sequence for the Jazz. Meanwhile, the Bulls needed a spark. And with 9 minutes left in the half, MJ stepped back onto the floor, and the game instantly felt different.
The end of it for Scotty tonight, Bob.
The Bulls chipped away at Utah's lead, and with under 7 minutes to go, Jordan had them back within 1 point. But the rest of the quarter was a slugfest. Neither team could get any breathing room. But one thing became painfully obvious. Karl Malone was unstoppable.
Could you imagine if Nikola Jokic had to guard Karl Malone? Nikola Jokic would get destroyed on offense and defense, and definitely wouldn't put up the numbers that he's putting up on a nightly basis in today's NBA. Hell yeah, Karl Malone was killing them motherfucker. And look who he's playing against. Dennis Rodman, one of the best defenders and hardest working, hardest playing players to ever play in the NBA and basketball, period. And he's out there performing at his best against one of the best defenders in the league. Come on, man. The NBA was way better back in the day, bro. I don't give a fuck how you motherfuckers feel about me living in the past, I guess you could say. Whatever, motherfucker. I'm being forced to live in the past because this basketball these days, especially NBA basketball, fucking sucks. But you see how when Michael Jordan came in the game, like he said, everything changed for the Bulls and it was a totally different game. LeBron James comes in the game. It's pretty much going to bring the Lakers down. It's going to slow the Lakers down, fuck up their chemistry, and cost them the game.
Rodman tried. Luke Longley tried. It didn't matter.
Malone tries to answer. And
the mailman wasn't missing deliveries. But while Malone was bullying the Bulls inside, Byron Russell had his own nightmare to deal with. Because on the other end, Jordan was cooking him. MJ dropped 15 points in the quarter, single-handedly keeping the Bulls in it. But even
15 points in one quarter, nigga. In the NBA Finals. LeBron James ain't doing no shit like that. Especially in the fourth quarter. But 15 points in a quarter, in one quarter, in Game 6 of the NBA Finals. A series-clinching game. Come on, man. And if you know anything about Michael Jordan, he averaged more points in the finals than he did in the playoffs. And averaged more points in the playoffs than he did in the regular season. This man steps his game up and shows up when it matters the most. Unlike others.
his brilliance wasn't enough to take the lead as the Jazz were still ahead 49-45. Utah had the edge, Jordan had the fire, and the second half was about to get legendary.
45-49 at the half. Bulls down. What's that? Bulls down 4 points at the half, man. Losing at the half. Just keep that in mind.
Where the Jazz lead the Bulls by 4. Now, the big story here in the first half has been the condition of Scottie Pippen's back. He has really been hurting.
As the second half began, Scottie Pippen re-entered the game. But the moment he stepped onto the court, it was clear he had no business being out there.
Man, even the gear that the players used to wear back in the day was better, man. The shoes were better. The gear was better. Everything, man. Those Chicago Bulls jumpsuits, the Pacers, those jumpsuits, the Orlando Magic, those jumpsuits, any team in the NBA, but those three specific teams, the Pacers, Bulls, and Orlando Magic, had the coldest jumpsuits, the coldest warm-ups in the game. And then that shooting shirt that Scottie Pippen has on, cold, man. And it was a Nike, and it's Nike. So I don't know why Nike's falling off. But man, everything was better then, man. I'm sorry, bro. Then these niggas went to like Adidas and Reebok and all that shit. Man, fuck out of here, bro. You should have always been with Nike. But yeah, man. The shooting shirts and warm-ups back in the day, cold, man. It's not like that these days.
Every step looked painful. He was grimacing, laboring up and down the floor, but there was no way he was sitting out. And this wasn't just about playing. It was about pride, grit, and a refusal to quit.
And as he goes up for the shot, that leaves Rodman's clear for a clear tap in on the offense.
What he did is something that may never be fully realized in NBA history.
Scottie Pippen changed a lot of things for the Chicago Bulls. If he wasn't there, I think they would have won a lot of them games. He got the crucial rebounds. He got the crucial block.
But it was that act of determination that showed why that era of the NBA had some of the toughest players ever to play the game. In an era...
Right, man. You see Steve Nash's face? Niggas would have been sitting out in the locker room crying or something. They wouldn't even come back in the game and play it if their face looked like that and they felt like that. And that was Steve Nash. Let alone Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, even Scottie Pippen, man. He's out here laboring, but he's still out here. But that's because he is under that pressure of Michael Jordan and the expectations that Michael Jordan had for his team and teammates. That's why Scottie Pippen was out there. If he wasn't playing with Michael Jordan, he probably wouldn't even been out there, man. But he was being held to a standard, and he knew that. That's why you need leaders on your team like a Michael Jordan. Because honestly, Scottie Pippen was trying to sabotage. If you ever watched The Last Dance, that's when I came to that conclusion, that he was trying to sabotage their season. And he had did that a few times. But you had Michael Jordan on your team, man. He couldn't execute it with a player like Michael Jordan on his team, with a leader like Michael Jordan on his team. So Scottie Pippen had to fall in line, and that's what he did. Nigga, your back hurt? Can you play? Can you give us something? All right, well then get out here. And that's what he did. Niggas these days would be sitting on the bench if they were in the conditions Scottie Pippen was in during this game, during this playoff series.
Built on toughness, Pippen's willingness to fight through excruciating pain was a testament to why 90s basketball was as brutal as it was legendary.
Look at him, laboring, hurting. And Mr. Sports is right. That's the perfect example of 90s basketball, how brutal it was and how tough the players were playing. And that's how it's supposed to be, man. It's a sport. It's supposed to be physical. It's supposed to be competitive. Not a bunch of jump shooting and soft-ass niggas running up and down the court, barely guarding each other, letting each other shoot, really letting each other do what they want. And it's all so we can get some money and get these numbers. Because them players ain't really competing out there in the NBA, man. It's probably only one or two teams that really compete. And you can tell because they're way ahead of their peers. The Cavaliers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. But still in all, man, the league these days is just a bunch of niggas shooting jump shots. How competitive can that be? How physical can the game be? Like, come on, man, with this soft ass shit.
But tough or not, Karl Malone wasn't about to slow down. Right out of the break, the mailman went straight to work, attacking the rim for an easy layup. By this point, Malone had already racked up 22 points and 4 assists, torching Chicago with an absurd 9 for 12 shooting performance.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Karl Malone out there putting it down, man. That's a big motherfucker, 6'9", as big as he was, probably about 250, 260.
Chicago with an absurd 9 for 12 shooting performance. For the Bulls, Michael Jordan had 23 points and 1 assist and made 9 of his 19 attempts from the field. And Jordan was doing what he always did, keeping the Bulls alive. He was in full attack mode, living at the mid-range, picking his shots, and refusing to let the game get away from him. Then things got physical. Rodman and Malone got tangled up again. Eventually, the refs had enough, calling a flagrant foul on Rodman. Except, was it? Upon review, the officials downgraded the call to a common foul because this was just another day in the trenches for these two. Oh, and here's the fun part. After the finals, Rodman and Malone were set to wrestle each other at a World Championship Wrestling pay-per-view. The Utah crowd had no idea they were getting a free preview of a match that would later be broadcast nationwide.
I remember that shit, man. Rodzilla. That was that nigga's wrestling name. And fucking Karl Malone was with Diamond Dallas Page. You see, he just did that weak ass diamond cutter. That was funny, man. Those were the days, boy.
And they're going to meet somewhere in between.
Here's Pippen. The bad back makes Hornacek's assignment on him a whole lot easier.
As the third quarter rolled on, Jordan didn't let up. Neither did Pippen. Bad back and all. But despite their fight, Utah still had control, ahead by 5 points, 61-66. The Bulls had one more quarter to change history.
As we start the fourth quarter, Michael Jordan is...
The Bulls walked into the final quarter.
And then look at that score, 61-66. That's because there's real defense being played. These are great players on the floor playing. So it's not like they can't score the ball. There's just defense being played and resistance, man. This is the start of the fourth quarter. If that was these days, man, the fucking score would be like 89-81. Like, come on, man. And at the end of the game, it'd have been like 120-130. Like, what the fuck are we doing, man? That's absolutely no defense. That's why this shit is not fun to watch these days.
Season down 5, exhausted and running on fumes. Michael Jordan had played every single game that year.
They were down going into the third quarter. Now down 5 again. No, they were down 4 going into the third quarter. Now they're down 5 going into the fourth quarter. So it wasn't like the Bulls were just dominating, man. And the Bulls were really breaking down in the series before this against the Pacers. But they were a championship team. Championship mentality, a winning mentality, and focus. That's why they're able to pull it off, man. And a great leader in Michael Jordan, and a great leader at the coaching helm in Phil Jackson. So these niggas pulled it off against odds, man.
Through the regular season and playoffs, and at this point, it wasn't just about skill. It was about survival. But survival is what legends do. Jordan opened the quarter drawing contact, stepping to the line, and knocking down both free throws. Then, with Shandon Anderson draped all over him, he buried another jumper.
Against Anderson.
The Bulls were within 3. The comeback was brewing. And then, in a moment straight out of an alternate universe, Dennis Rodman, yes, Dennis Rodman buried a 20-footer.
I remember that, man. That was some crazy ass shit out of a parallel universe or an alternate universe, man. And when he hit that shit, if I played for the Jazz, I'd have been like, oh man, these niggas about to fuck around and win if this nigga's hitting that type of shit. Because that went in for a reason, bro. Dennis Rodman hit a 20-foot jump shot, nigga. Late in the game, too, nigga. Fourth quarter.
Shot forced Jerry Sloan to throw Karl Malone back into the fight. And Utah needed him because Chicago wasn't backing down. But at this point, Jordan was drained.
Between the legs and the jumper.
He had nothing left to give on defense. He had to...
Look at that, man. It's looking bleak. Looking bleak. What you gonna do, MJ? Show us why you the greatest, man.
Save every last ounce of energy for the moments that mattered most. But even on fumes, he found a way to deliver. With under 7 minutes left, he stepped up to the top of the key and drilled a jumper, giving the Bulls their first lead of the quarter. But the Jazz weren't going down easy. Karl Malone kept punishing Chicago, overpowering defenders, and keeping Utah alive. On the other side, Scottie Pippen, barely able to move, refused to let his team down. And then...
Look at that, man. Scottie Pippen out there with a bad back, still putting up buckets and running like Like he got shit stuck up his ass. Come on, man. These players these days will be on the bench in street clothes, trying to look cute and shit, doing these little stupid ass handshakes. Scottie Pippen's out there playing, nigga. It's the last game of the season, basically, man. Get your ass out here, Scottie. LeBron James would have been on the bench, nigga. Sitting right next to his sorry ass son.
With 41.9 seconds left, the entire season flipped. John Stockton hit a wide-open three to give the Jazz an 86-83 lead. It looked like Game 7 was inevitable. The Bulls had never gone the distance in the finals before, and Utah had all the momentum. But Michael Jordan had other plans. Straight out of the timeout, he blew past Byron Russell, soared to the rim, and
straight out of the timeout with a go-ahead bucket, nigga. When they needed a bucket the most, he went and got that motherfucker in less than 3 seconds. Nigga. As soon as they came out the timeout and took it and inbounded the ball, he got the ball, drove straight to the rack and scored. Under a minute left, fourth quarter, NBA Finals Game 6. LeBron would have been so scared of this moment, he would have been taking the ball out and passing it to Austin Reeves. I make the right basketball play every time. Oh, the fuck you don't.
laid it in. Bulls down 1, 37.1 seconds left. On Utah's next possession, Jordan lurked like a predator. Malone got the ball in the post, a spot where he had dominated all night. But just as he turned, Jordan struck, sneaking behind him and ripping the ball away.
Good D, nigga. That's paying attention to detail in the scouting report. He knew Karl Malone was going to get it. That's why he was sitting there waiting. He wasn't even worried about his man. He was sitting there help side waiting. Nigga. Now, he could have got to his man if John Stockton had threw a skip pass or cross-court pass to Jeff Hornacek. Because Jeff Hornacek would have been open, but I'm pretty sure Michael Jordan is athletic enough to close out and get there before Jeff Hornacek could get a shot off or make a move. So that defensive play right there was perfectly executed, man. And all because this man knows Michael Jordan knew the scouting report and knew that Karl Malone was going to get it in the post. And he came and blindsided him and stole it.
Then came the moment, the most famous shot in NBA history. With 9 seconds left, Jordan walked the ball up the court, Russell in front of him. One quick move, a subtle push, and Russell stumbled, and Jordan took advantage. With 5.2 seconds left, Jordan had done it again. His 45th point, his 16th of the quarter, the shot that froze time. Utah called timeout. One last chance. Stockton got the ball.
45 points. Game 6 NBA Finals. Scored the last 4 points. That layup. Got a layup. Defensive stop. And if you haven't seen this game in its entirety, this man was getting rebounds and making free throws that whole fourth quarter. Not only was he making big shots and big plays on offense and defense, he was getting rebounds and knocking down free throws when it mattered. Come on, man. 45 points and 16 in the fourth quarter alone in Game 6 of the NBA Finals, where this will give you the victory. If you get the victory, you'll get the championship. Come on, man. LeBron James has never done anything like this, or any of the players playing these days.
Rose for a desperate three. Missed.
Clank.
The buzzer sounded. The dynasty was complete. For the 6th time in 8 years, the Chicago Bulls were NBA champions. And at the center of it all was Michael Jordan standing alone in history. 45 points, 4 steals, one last dagger. It wasn't his most dominant game. It wasn't his most efficient game, but it was the one that mattered most. Because just months later, he walked away. Jordan announced his retirement, saying he was 99.9% sure he was done.
I am here to announce my retirement from the game of basketball. It won't be another announcement to baseball or anything to that nature.
And just like that, the most cinematic career in sports history had its closing scene. Think about it. The buzzer beater at North Carolina, to battling the Pistons, to the first three-peat, the baseball experiment, the comeback, the flu game, 72 wins, and then this.
Mode, the backup and the fadeaway, and he hits the jump shot, then he comes back.
Man, do you see all those moments? And that's within a short span of time, man. This was only from 84 to 98. 13 seasons, 14 seasons. Really 12, well, yeah. 13 seasons, bro. 14 seasons. All those great moments, and most of them in the playoffs and finals. You don't see that from Kobe Bryant or LeBron James. I can't even think of great moments that Kobe Bryant had in the NBA Finals outside of when he carried them in Game 4 of the NBA Finals in 2000 against the Pacers when they played them here in Indianapolis and they went into overtime because Shaq was on the bench, fouled out, and he couldn't make free throws, so he didn't need to be in the game anyway. And LeBron James definitely doesn't have any finals great moments or great moments in the playoffs outside of when he scored that 23 points against Detroit. And I guess you can say when he made that chase down block on Andre Iguodala after Kyrie Irving won the game for them. Oh, and when he hit that game winner in Game 2 of the NBA Eastern Conference Finals in 2008 against the Magic. And they still ended up losing the series. Come on, man. This nigga Michael Jordan, man, is the one, man. He's the truth. He's the greatest. In the modern era, 6'6" guard dominating.
Chapter built to this moment. A perfect steal, a perfect shot, a perfect ending. The shrug, the layup, the flu game, the double nickel, the Knicks con, the last shot. Jordan didn't just dominate the NBA. He turned it into his own personal mythology. And that shot over Byron Russell? This wasn't just the greatest moment of Jordan's career. It was the greatest moment the NBA has ever seen.
What are your thoughts?
And I definitely agree it's the greatest moment the NBA has ever seen. And we want to know what's crazy? That was the greatest moment of his career. And it's crazy. It was a storybook ending to his career. Come on, man. This man is the greatest, bro. Storybook ending to a storybook career, man. Couldn't have wrote a script better. And look at this clown with LeBron James and basically Captain America on his shirt. Man, get your lame fat ass up, man. Take that weak ass, faded ass shirt off, nigga. But anyway, man, 45 points, 4 steals, Game 6 of the 1998 NBA Finals. Finals MVP of that season, MVP of that season, NBA All-Star MVP of that season, 62-20 record, and the championship. And led the league in scoring. Last year at 34 years old, man. That's the standard, man. And LeBron James will never get there, man. But fuck LeBron James. It's all about Michael Jordan, man. See how he was mentally tough, stayed focused, kept his team focused, and they pulled off a win on their last leg. They weren't 100% healthy, mentally or physically. And they got the job done because they're winners. And they had a great leader and a great leader at the coach, as a coach. Come on, man. That's all I got.